Good morning, everyone. So we were talking about it earlier today, but on June 10th, it's National Rosé Day. And so in celebration, we're going to be talking about how you can purify your wine and also how you use a decanter here. So joining us is Joe, who's going to tell us more about that. Good morning, Joe.
Morning. Pleasure to be here.
All right, yeah, we love that you're on right now. So first of all, thank you so much for sending these. We have two decanters here, and then we also have a box of a wine purifier. So while I unbox this a little bit, will you tell us what a wine purifier is?
Yeah, so ULO is the original wine purifier, and that simply means that we can selectively remove sulfites and reduce histamines from wine. Sulfites are an added preservative to wines. They help your wines kind of ship across the world and make it in good condition to your glass. And histamines are kind of a natural product that's produced during fermentation, but can also lead to negative side effects. So we have a patented filter that just goes in our device. And when you pour your wine through it, it'll bind the sulfites and reduce histamines. And that way you can enjoy your wine a little bit easier without those negative side effects.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. And I've definitely heard of a wine purifier. I just never have seen one up close. So here you guys
We're
go.
in the category, so.
Yeah, there you go. So how does Ulu remove sulfites?
It's really simple. You'll just take this apart, and then you'll place one of our filters. And this is a nanoporous polymer that can bind the sulfites only, and everything else is just going to flow through. Your flavors, your aromas, the color, everything is just going to be the same as it was. And then you'll just snap it back together. You'll determine whether you want to aerate your wine or not. Some wines need it, other wines don't. It's also personal preference. And then you'll just simply, crack open a bottle of rosé, pour it right through, and you're good to go. It'll be sulfite free and have a lower level of histamines. So a really simple product to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't only have to use it with rosé, right? You can use it with whites or reds.
Correct. It'll work with any wine except for sparkling wine, and that's because it'll remove the bubbles, which most people don't want to remove the bubbles when you're drinking champagne.
Yeah, right.
But red wines, white wines, rosés, sweet wines, works perfect with all of them. Works perfect with any wine that has sulfites.
All right, love it. So where can people go to learn more about your company?
You can go to our website, which is just Ulo Wine. That's ULLOWINE.com. We're also on Amazon. You can follow us on Instagram at Ulo Wine or any other social media platform.
All right, awesome. So let's get more into the National Rosé Day. So how does rosé get its pink color?
Yeah, so what some people don't know is that red grapes and black grapes, the juice inside of them is actually clear. So you could have a white Cabernet Sauvignon, which some people didn't realize. So what rosé does is they basically let the juice and the skins sit together for a little bit, and then when they get the right color, the winemaker will separate the skins and the juice, and you'll have that pinkish juice that you can then make rosé out of. That's why we see all these different shades. You'll see really bright pink, you'll see kind of more orange, you'll see more strawberry. It just depends on the winemaker, what the rules are for where they're growing those grapes and how to make the wine, and really just personal preference of the winemaker.
Yeah, well, that's so interesting. So I know when people think of rosé, they think of kind of a sweeter wine than white or red. So how does it differ from those two?
So you can get a very dry red wine, or rosé wine, sorry. Rosé wines from the south of France are always going to be pretty much bone dry with no sugar. In the US and in certain other New World countries, you might have a little bit of sugar just depending on the style. But it varies, based on what type of wine the winemaker's trying to make and what the region requires. But I would say the trend nowadays is more towards the dry side. So if you see a wine that says it's blush rosé, it probably has more sugar. If you see a wine that just says rosé, you can bet it's going to be pretty dry, and even drier than some white wines, depending.
Okay, that's so interesting. All right, I've definitely had some blush. I've definitely had some rosé. So I actually want to get a little bit into the decanters that we have here. We have a pretty big one, and then we have a smaller one. So I'm just going to come right out and say it. I don't really know what decanters do. I just know that my fancy aunt uses them.
Well, decanters are they're a traditional piece of wine serving, and it really lets the wine breathe. If you think about it, a wine, it goes into the bottle, it's stuck in there. It might age for 2, 3 years, and then you open it and pour it. What you really want to do is let that wine stretch out, get a little air. That'll help to kind of bring out the aromas. It'll help the wine to kind of mellow and just release a little bit. So we have Big wide-based decanters, that's best for a red wine that really needs air, especially if it's been, in bottle for 5 to 10 years. And then we'll have more narrow decanters for wines that don't necessarily need a lot of aeration, but still benefit from having a little bit. And then we do have two different wine purifiers. We have our chill, which you can throw in the freezer. It'll lower your wine by 10 degrees. And then we have our original. And since this is just a ever so slightly different shape, we have a different decanter that fits it perfectly. But, it fits in all of our wine decanters and carafes. So it's personal preference, and it depends on what wines you're really enjoying. I would say if you're enjoying big red wines, make sure to get a wide-based decanter. If you're enjoying rosés, maybe some aged whites, you could go with a much more narrower carafe or our Florence decanter as well.
All right, amazing. Well, thank you so much for telling me about that, at least. Hopefully someone else learned that too.
Yeah.
And then that's very cool that you said that the purifiers, they fit in the decanters. So that's really,
yes.
really neat.
Specifically designed so that way you put it in, you can pour the whole bottle in. Then when you're done, you can just take it out, and we have a handy little drip tray. So you can serve your wine, and then, whenever dishes need to be done, you can just clean up then.
All right, amazing. All right, Joe, well, we got to get out of here. So one more time, where can people find your company?
Yeah, that'll be ulowine.com or at ulowine on Instagram, or just type in ULLO in your Amazon search bar and you'll find us.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for telling us all about that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, cheers.
Coming up on today's show, we'll be talking with Pediatric Partners Clinic after the break.